Well, hello everybody. My first live stream. What could go wrong? Who's all here? Well, I guess I should go over to live chat. That way I can read everything. That makes more sense. If it let me. There we go. There's one. What's up, guys? The new P25 system. Pain in the ass because we don't have radios in our vehicles anymore because we no longer have analog. So all I really have is Knockout and a phone app. But currently, my chief is also trying to. He is trying to get our radios programmed. But considering we're all on Metro safe systems now, they have to program our system. We're now on Louisville Metro's system. So now we have to have them program everything, which make things a bit of a pain in the ass. I mean, you can afford them. I mean, you can find used ones pretty easily. I mean, I think I have I got an XTS or whatever one had the gray face to it. I got one of them for like, I think $60. I got it at an auction. I mean, I couldn't beat it. Let's see. I don't know why. There we go. I actually did a full response video. One of my most recent ones, I responded to the station for a medical call, and then we took 31 out. I don't post them together. I post them separately. Just never posted them together. I guess I could post them simultaneously, but I kind of like having them separate. No, Josh, it's very hard to afford them, especially the ones that they want us to buy so that they can program them. Jonesboro, Arkansas. But P25s are nice. I mean, a lot more clear when it comes to being able to talk to other people on the radio and stuff like that. It's much nicer. How many calls do you guys average a year? Oh, geez. When I first started 5 years ago, we were lucky if we got 200. Last year, we think we hit, I think it was 275, 375, somewhere around there. But right now, we are up 60 runs statistically from last year, so we'll very well cross over the 400, more than likely. Why does this chat keep disappearing? How many calls you guys? I'm not getting no Baofeng radio, Brian. That's like buying Amazon dash lights. Get the hell out of here with that. Baofeng dash lights. Or Baofeng radios. Why don't you buy a freaking, what the hell's that damn pistol that nobody likes? The really shitty ones. Oh, God. I can't think of what they're called. Whoever came out with the gun called a GAT. Oh, Jesus, I can't think of who made that handgun. How do you get into the lighting world? How did I get into the lighting world? My first light... Well, my dad used to race dirt track cars in the outlaw stocks in Bridgeport, New Jersey. One of the cars on the track had a rotating light on the roof. I can't remember. It might have been blue, red, or amber. I can't remember. But one of his buddies was a volunteer firefighter. Yes, the High Point handgun. That's right, High Point. He was a volunteer firefighter out in the Swedesboro area, and he had a Hot Shot 2 with electrical tape on the back to prevent flashback, and he said I could have it. He ended up giving it to me, and that kind of kicked it off. And then after that, I got a Smith & Wesson light bar. I think I was 13, younger than that probably. Got a Smith & Wesson light bar, which I still have today, and my dad had an auto parts yard, and I used to drive that. I had that mounted on a 80s Ford Escort, and used to drive around the auto parts yard with the Smith & Wesson light bar, and it kind of just took off from there. And At one point, before I moved out to Kentucky, I thought I was done with lights. I sold them all my collection off. I was going to get more into airsoft because I did play that at the time. And then I believe I moved, and then airsoft is just not common out here, so I kind of just went back into lights. Let's see. Brian, if you think a high point is reliable, then you must own a Land Rover, because Land Rovers aren't reliable. He probably doesn't even know that. Where'd my freaking chat go? There we go. Thoughts on a federal queue? Oh my god, who doesn't like the queue? I can't stand when people peek it. Frank Martin Jr. In Newport, Delaware, Minquist, F. Martin Jr.'s his YouTube. Has a video where it's too much queue, and the guy, I think for like 8 minutes long, just has the queue at full peak the entire time, and that is awful. That is way too much queue. There's definitely a way to use the queue, and that's definitely a rise and fall like a whale on an electric siren. So definitely love the queue. Eventually I'll have one day. They're just very, very expensive. Do you ever use a dash laser? I find they move traffic very well. I had a dash laser once in the Crown Vic. The car I'm in currently, actually. Before I actually got lights and I didn't have a siren, and I just threw it up on the dash and used it once. Didn't have a dash cam at the time because the dash cam had still crapped out. Awesome lights. I like them. I've always liked rotating dash lights, so dash lasers are nice. I like the high-speed ones. I don't like slow-speed ones, so fire beam's more my favorite. This chat is irritating. Doesn't want to stay up. Do you like when your pager goes... What kind of freaking question is that? Do I like when my pager goes off? There's times like last night I did want it to go off at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm currently working overnight right now. I didn't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for traffic control for a neighboring fire department, but I got out of bed. I mean, that was one of those times where you kind of just want to shut it off and roll back over and act like it didn't happen, but I got up anyway. Ended up getting canceled before I even rolled the truck out. Actually, I did roll the truck out and got canceled later in the response, but I don't have any video of it. It was a code 1 response, so I didn't take a video or anything. It's not worth it. Another question, what kind of apparatus do you guys have? We have 2 tankers, 2 brush trucks, 1 engine. We have 4 engines, a 99 International, a 96 Pierce, an 84 Ford, a 1993 E1. I'm going to get back to that. It's not a 93. An 2016 F250, and a 94 F250 light-duty brush truck that does not like water being in the back at all. It's very underpowered, but it's what we have. I would love to get one donated if I can get one, because we just do not have the money to replace it right now. Our 1993 E1 is as it's titled, which was previously engine 1 or 2 from Shepherdsville. I believe it was engine 2. Previously owned by Edmondson, Pennsylvania, or something like that. We found out after buying it, one of our firefighters did some research on it, found out that only the cab is from 1993. The motor is a 2-stroke Detroit. It's got the motor, the chassis, and the body is all actually 1972 Ward LaFronts, which is pretty annoying considering we bought it to replace our 84 Ford. So it's kind of funny how we bought something older than what it was going to replace. So that was pretty stupid. No, we do not have a second station. It's in the works. We just passed we just got an ordinance passed where we can start doing fire subscriptions, and if all paid out well, would bring in roughly $80,000 more into our department. So we plan on eventually putting a Station 2 out towards Belmont in Lebanon Junction to help with more calls out there. And I think if that happens, I'll end up going to that station as I'm farther from it. F450, yeah, you're right, Josh. Okay, bye. Come on, chat. Somebody come. There we go. Do you sell sirens and lights, and do you ship to Asia? I ship them everywhere. I do sell lights and sirens. My company's Code 3 Complete. You can message us on there, and we don't have a lot of sirens in stock right now, but we do have some. Plenty of TM4s. I've shipped to Thailand, Hungary. These are the ones I can remember. Mexico, Netherlands, I think Denmark. So I've shipped all over the place. I don't discriminate. Just more of a pain in the ass because I can't. A lot of the two websites I use where I can just literally print them from home usually doesn't give me good enough prices in order to make it easier to ship. I have to actually go to the post office to ship them and fill out paperwork. Do you sell sound off signal sirens? I do not unless they're used. I'm not a dealer for sound off siren or sound off signal, but I can get sound off signal sirens. I just have to contact the company that I used to be contracted with, and I can get them. A station tour. Station tour. If Joshua Kronk reminds me tomorrow, I'll do a station tour, but he's got to help me with it. So that's gonna be his problem now. Yeah, I can do a station tour. I've been meaning to do one for a while. I really need to, so I can definitely do that. If I'm alive tomorrow. Fire trucks are dumb. Brian, you're dumb. Can never get enough of that Detroit diesel noise. You almost can. When you literally have to respond almost 10 minutes in that freaking truck. I mean, with the headsets on, it's not bad, but when you have to respond to that truck, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning, that truck is just too loud. I love the sound of a two-stroke Detroit, but in moderation, that truck is almost too much for me. It's almost too loud. And it's slower than anything, which doesn't help nothing at all. 32's faster on acceleration. What's the limit of sirens you can fit on your car? Considering I have a very large console, plenty of undercover style sirens in my collection, I could fit quite a lot. It's all based on speakers, but I'm not going to run a lot. I think the majority I'll run is 4 because of being a demo. I'll have a couple Carsons and stuff like that in. Yep, I'll ship to the Philippines. What's your opinion on the Phoenix siren tones? Trash. They say, if you go to SpeedTech's website and listen to SpeedTech sirens, exactly the same thing. Don't let Phoenix fool you. They are not 100% American made. They are probably American innovations with Chinese products, but they are not American made. I can tell you that. I've seen the blueprints from overseas from a reliable source, and if you can just listen to the siren tones and look at STL stuff, they're exactly the same. Who was the guy you were going to yell at? Oh, that was Brian. That was 5111. Ended up not being him. It was a buddy that was riding with him. Just don't like using sirens in the neighborhood, in that part of the neighborhood. I live on a dead-end street. I roll out slow, and then until I get to West Airport is when I pick up speed or East Airport, because I just don't need to go fast past the neighborhood where she lets her dog out, and she plays fetch with her dog right in the front yard, and she has kids, and there's neighbors' kids. It's just, I'm not gonna go fast. How often do you go live on YouTube? This is my first. Would you get some off you, but no sirens or red lights allowed in PA? Yeah, that sucks. I believe it should. I think if you're a volunteer, even some of the guys that I'm friends with are that live in New Jersey, live in a very congested area where I believe sirens are way more needed than I do out here in Kentucky, where it's a lot more open. They live in a very congested area with lots of traffic, and all they have is blue lights, and they can only suggest the right of way or ask. They can't. It's a courtesy. It's not a law, which they have to move through major intersections, and the blue lighting law out there is technically only 2 lights. So everybody should be able to run sirens if you're a volunteer, if you're responding to a station in any type of emergency fashion. Josh, you're helping me by doing a live tour video tomorrow. Give me suggestions and help me out with it. There should be an emergency light embargo. I agree. How are my Buells hooked up? Tank is in the back. Hooked up to a relay on my siren. When the siren gets ignition, the relay gets power, and then automatically turns it on, or I can shut it off with the button. Airline comes up along here because there's no side curtain airbag, so I wasn't worried about it. And the way the tank is mounted, how long the tube was, or the tube. Goes all the way down to the solenoid under the hood, and then there's a line going out to the hoods, and out to the front where the horns are, and they're mounted behind the grill facing down. I think one of them may have a leak because when you hit the button, you don't hear both of them. You kind of hear one kind of peters out. So I think I need to look at them again when I decided to take the front bumper off to do the push bumper. This freaking live, I can't keep it up. You should be in jail for what? What 4 sirens do you currently have? I do not have 4 sirens right now in the vehicle. I have only 2 because I took the speaker out when I mounted the Buells for the scientific prototype. EQ2B is installed and the Tomar 948 is installed. Any plans? I would like to get a head cam. Just don't have the money to put out for one right now. I just don't have the money right now. What social media can I contact you? Code 3 Complete. It's on Facebook. You can message us right off there, and we'll ship you out some stuff. If you're looking for a lot of sirens, that really helps because I can sell a lot of them at one time and ship you multiple of them. A couple TM4s in stock. I have a lot of TM4s in stock, and I believe a Star Signal Undercover one, and I have a Code 3 Microcom 2 brand new in the box. I'll cut a good deal on if anybody wants that. I'd love to get that going. I gotta fix my ambulance, so. Light embargo sounds fun. What is your car you have? Try that again. What car do I have? I have a 2007 Ford Crown Victoria, a 2007 Ford CVPI because it's not a civilian model, but 2005 Ford 500, 1997 Ford Explorer that I'm probably going to end up getting rid of because it's too many problems and it's worth right now, and a 1994 Econoline ambulance with an E1 box. What's wrong with the Ford 500? The Ford 500 has some suspension work. Car runs great. It just needs rear shocks, rear sway bar links, front lower control arm, and then it'll be back on the road. The Crown Vic is fine right now, and the 500 is just getting a rest. I've been driving it every day since 2013 when I bought it. Bought it with 40,000 miles. Now it has a 197 on it. It needs a vacation. That car has done me very well, and I owe that car way more than it knows. That car doesn't owe me nothing. I owe that car everything. Never left me on the side of the road except my girlfriend when the alternator went, and that only ever happened to her. Brian, you actually could put a push bump on your car. There's a company in New York that makes them Ford Fusions for New York City Police Department, so you could actually put a push bumper on it. It's not a big one, it's kind of a small one, but Google it, they actually do make them. Have you ever tried using Whalen sirens in response? I have not. Whalen sirens just don't do it for me. The older ones sound good. I like the old ones. The HSF 100, I believe it is probably one of my better sounding ones, the more classic tones. The 295 SLA 6s are not bad. I do like the SLA 6s. I do like the programmable tones. If I had to pick one, it would be an HHS 2300. But I don't really care for Whelen sirens too much. I do like the wide variety of tones they have in them, especially the European ones, but just don't like. Whelen rips off siren tones from everybody else. The alternate wail, the alternate yelp, the dozer, the ultimate high-low are all rip-offs of Federal Signal. They can never do anything themselves. It seems like they always have to copy somebody else, just like why they got sued from Federal Signal back in when they tried to copy the EEQ2B tone, and they ended up with the Executor. Executor sounds great, but eventually I'll get an Executor. They're just hard to come by. Wheel, it says Q on it. Sounds awesome. It does. Wait, hold on. What? SLA what? No, that Whelen Q sounds awful. It sounds like a cat getting choked with a fucking broom. That sounds awful. I don't like that at all. The Louisville EMS runs that tone now, and it's with I think a dual tone system, and it's awful. It sounds absolutely atrocious. I would never. I don't like it. I have it programmed for one of the outputs on our rescue truck, and I never use it. Jim, I'm putting armor plates on my car too. I'd like to see that. Your dad won't even let you tint the windows. How are you gonna do that? Oh, the New Orleans EMS one. Okay, that's the one with the mono and solo tone button and the I like the air horn on that one. I love the air horn on that one. I kind of like the way New Orleans runs their tones just because I watched the TV show Night Watch and I was kind of used to it and liked it, but I don't like that mechanical tone at all. Not for me. Don't like that tone at all. I'm not a big fan of the way the old Sencoms look. They came out. They came out. I think around the same time the Smart Siren did. And the Smart Siren tone. The Smart Siren actually looked better as far as looks and sounded better. Not a big fan of Wheeling Sirens. Unfortunately, I just not really a big fan of Wheeling. I only really like their dash lights and some of their older stuff. Just this, they just don't do it for me. I'm not a big fan. I hate to say. Let's see if I missed any questions. Light embargo. Jail bitch, fuck you, bye. I don't know who the hell that is. It's probably Corey or frickin' Justin. You should be in jail. Fire trucks are dumb. Jason, or station tour, that's all up to Josh Kronk now. Any more questions? Come on, guys, ask me questions. I don't even know what to talk about. I could talk about anything for hours. You watched Night's Watch and inspired you to become an RM once you get out of high school. That's pretty awesome. Went for EMT class 3 years ago with Yellow Ambulance. Yeah, failed that. Actually, I passed the class. I could not pass the National Registry or the Indiana test, and that just EMT just really isn't for me as a full-time position. It's a lot of responsibility in your hands as an EMT, and I'm just not comfortable with it, and I really couldn't learn. It was too much crammed in a small time, and working one-on-one I understand, but I need to work more with my hands and actually physically doing it versus just through a book and being told on a marker board. I don't learn that way, unfortunately. You had any more lights to your car since the last update? Which car? I guess it'd be the 500. The 500 has not changed. The back's 911 EP sticks are all going to be coming out. I'm going to be putting a Federal Signal CN stick in the back. It's going to be dual color red amber. And either 2 Vipers, 2 Extremes, or 2 Slim layers, going kind of for the NYPD look in the back, minus the CN stick. How long have you been with the Lebanon Junction Fire Department? It was August or July of 2015, so it'll be 5 years. Six-week class, I believe that's what it was. Yeah, it was yellow. It was yellow, and they were taken over by AMR. But yeah, I believe it was a 6-week class. It just didn't do it for me. I just couldn't do it. Jim, it's a joke, but I gotta wrap my car in sheet metal. I bet you will. Are you gonna run red and blue or red and white? I cannot run blue in the state of Kentucky. I would love to get it changed to where we can run blue to the rear, like New York and almost every other state can. I don't know how to pitch that to the state in order to get that to change, because I'm not changing the laws. I'm adding to the laws. What the law would be is having blue to the rear and 100% not visible to the front or the sides. It's only meant for the rear, to help with, of course, visibility reasons, break up some of the red. And if you ever look on traffic on interstates, it's a lot of red brake lights, so the blue would really help break that up. There's multiple different reasons to add blue. I feel like if you're not trying to push traffic for it, or push traffic with it, or suggest the right of way with blue, I don't think that it should really hinder anybody being in the back. I don't see why it would be that big of a deal. Shepherdsville Fire Department actually put it on their door, so when their apparatus doors open, they have blue ions there. So adding blue to the rear, I believe, would be very beneficial. One of the parts of the law I would add that you cannot have more than 50% of blue. So if you have 1 red light, you can have 1 blue light. If you have 2 red lights, you can have 2 blue lights, but you cannot exceed 50% of the warning. I feel like that'd be pretty beneficial. I think it's an easy law. I mean, we're not changing nothing, we're just adding to it. So we don't have to change a whole bunch of stuff. My class was twice a week for about 6 months. Yeah, that feels like it's almost too stretched out. I feel like I would lose information at that point. Have you ever thought of white to the back? Absolutely not. The only way white is acceptable to the back, in my opinion, is if it's very limited to 1 or 2 light heads, behind tinted glass, and taillight flashes and white hideaways. That's the only way I think white is acceptable. I think white is a very overpowering color, especially to be to the rear. You're on the side of the road. I don't think white is acceptable color to be in the back. There's a lot. I'd rather run red amber. Amber is a lot more visible in inclement weather, and helps break up the red, especially if it's spaced out properly. If you look at one of my latest response videos, you can see the Silver Crown Vic in front of me has a lot of red and amber, and I think it's mixed in too much with a lot of too much rapid patterns, so it looks more like a red amber orb versus having it split up more in somewhat slower patterns. And like he's got the inner edge up top, and it's red amber, red amber, red amber, and it all flashes at one point, and then it skips around, but it's too much at one time. And I think if it was slowed down some for the rear and broken up, then I think it would be a lot more effective than the white. No white to the rear, and I think that's a very bad idea. What got introduced this year? The blue? Did the blue get introduced this year? Because I heard somebody say that they were going to be adding it, but I never heard anything past that. What happened to the Unit Roll Omega? It's sitting on the shelf, safe and sound. It is not going anywhere. It is staying for a while. Might put it in my girlfriend's car with the Code 3H2 Coverts handheld, and I have a button so it just runs the Unit Roll Sweep. I'm thinking of other ways to incorporate it back in, maybe running it on the 500 again with the Smart Siren. Still have it. It ain't going nowhere. I will not sell the Omega 90. That was my all-time favorite siren. What is your favorite siren you own? The Omega 90. It's either the Omega 90 or an SP, but I think out of overall it'll be the Omega 90, especially with the dual tone and everything. I think the Omega 90 is a fantastic siren. What's the rule with the full dual colors? What do you mean by that? Add a flip switch on your car with the sweep and horn. Boom. Thought about that. Unit troll or unit roll? I say unit roll. Then again, I guess it just depends on conversation. Sometimes I say unit troll, then I'll say unit roll. I probably said unit troll at first. It's like wheeling and wailing. You call them, it's wailing, not wheeling. Or, I'm sorry, it's wheeling, not wailing. Red and amber, then amber red. Oh, I guess you mean in moderation of how it should be set up on the back, maybe? Or spaced out? Oh, this chat is irritating. I need a whole nother freaking... Thoughts on courtesy lights in states? Absolutely ridiculous. Why is it that a volunteer department that relies on volunteers that are at home to get to the station only given a light that suggests the right of way or asks for it? That makes no sense to me. My buddy's in Indiana. He lives in a courtesy state. His area is highly congestive, and you would think they'd be allowed to run sirens, and they're not, or be considered an emergency vehicle. All that state has to do is allow them to run sirens and consider them an emergency vehicle, and have the departments teach them EVOC or something like that. I mean, half of them that are already running lights now have been doing it long enough to where, add a siren, teach them how to clear intersections. I don't see why has courtesy lights ever been a thing? Why aren't they considered emergency vehicles just like everybody else? They need them to get to the station or to respond to the scene. You're cutting up a lot of time. You're adding too much time by having courtesy lights and not letting people have sirens to make traffic get out of the way in order to get to the station. I guess I don't mean make people, but, request the right of way. Spaced red amber half and half. One whole half red, one whole half amber, and having the pattern flash that instead of all at once because it'll blend. So if you have a dual head dash light, red then amber versus having them both flashing at the same time. Do you sell sirens for motorcycle use like waterproof? No, I don't have any in stock currently. Being a dealer for Tomar, I could probably get some. I think they do sell a waterproof version. I also deal Carson because of the merger with Carson and Tomar, or the partnership. So I think I can get motorcycle sirens. When will you do a POV update? I was waiting for that question. The POV update of the Crown Vic, I keep waiting because either the car's dirty when I want to do it, or I added something else, or need to move something, or plan on changing something. What time is it? I want to make sure. I have to clock in here at 12. So a POV update just depends on when I actually get the point where I want to actually do it. Cleaning the vehicle, and I'm getting a push bumper added soon, thanks to my buddy Andrew. So I'll be adding light to that and reconfiguring the whole front end. Maybe I'll do an update tomorrow, along with the station tour if I'm alive enough. And yeah, just various things. I keep changing too much, and the 948's actually coming out because it doesn't have the one. I think it's a little too overpriced for what it is, and two, the Carson has more options and more outputs so that I can actually get the full functionalities of my light bar with a couple extra buttons, and I like the tones of the Carson. What siren do you have right now, and can you bleep it? I would, but there's currently semis that are parked at the gas station sleeping, and I don't want to aggravate them. But right now, the EQ2B is hooked up, and the Tomar 948 is hooked up. For now. It's going to change very soon. I'm not sure if it was blue was introduced. This year's been so screwed up that I'm not sure. I think blue should be allowed on the rear. I believe so, too. Thoughts on being allowed to use air horns? As on courtesy vehicles or on emergency vehicles? Or POVs in, like, Kentucky? Do you think Indiana guy... Thank you, Indiana guy here. I can't even run blue lights because my city doesn't like us using them. Indiana is such a... Not trying to be political, but a very democratic state. They just don't allow you to do anything. The state troopers seem to always have a bug up their ass, and they'll pull over their grandmother and write them a speeding ticket. And the city-to-city laws is unbelievable. Buddy of mine has that issue with his POV. Some of the police don't like him, and some of the city officials don't like him just because he has lights on his vehicle, and he responds to scenes for medicals and such, and they give him the hardest times. He had a sit down with them at one point because they were thinking about getting him for impersonating for having too many lights, because the Indiana state allows only 4 sets of lights, and that includes, like, 2 grill lights would be a set. They did not like his blue hideaways in his headlight housing that I installed. They hated that. So I don't know what their problem is, but they have it way up their ass. Is there a way to connect the Omega 90 to the smart siren? Yes. The cable that goes between the head and the amp, you can actually cut. And they're all the different programs. I think they're ground switched, possibly. They might be positive. But all the different wires are like air horn, yelp, manual, and the sweep and stuff like that. If you go on the ELS page, the Emergency Lights and Sirens page, they can help you with that. I did check in, Richard. Why are you yelling at me? Sorry about that. If the Crown Vic is dirty, clean it for you. I'll clean it for you. No, it's alright. I'm pretty meticulous. I'll keep it clean. I'll get it clean. Can you add 2 more speakers on it? So the idea with the push bumper... hold on. Be right back. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. I have to keep reconnecting because I have to sign in online for the spot I'm watching. So my plan is to add 2 speakers of the push bumper and 2 speakers behind the grill, possibly a 5th one behind the grill, because I have a EQ2B 200 watt speaker now. Thanks to Cameron for that. That's going to go probably behind the grill. And then I'll have eventually 2 Tomars up front, but I have 2 Abrams right now So eventually that's going to be the plan, is to have 2 on the push bumper, 2 behind the grill, possibly a 5th one behind the grill. Oh, this chat. Did you fix the EQ2B? No, I got to pull it out and fix the wires. It has one of those in blocks where you unscrew a little screw and you push the wire and screw it back down. I recently watched a video on Sound Off Signal's Facebook or YouTube called Twisted Pair, something like that. And I got introduced to wire furls, which are these little guys that go on the wire and they crimp down and create a little slot or a little piece of metal that slides in those dins and locks in a lot better. And I need to switch that on this because that's the problem that keeps happening. I'll take the head out to do some stuff in the console, and the wires will get twisted and messed up, and then I put it back in and not check them, and they get jacked up. That's what's happening right now. If I put it in PA, the Yelp comes on. If I key up the mic, then it cycles. It's weird. It's very strange. What do you like most about the Tomar Siren sweep, Omega sweep, and the Touchmaster sweep? Tomar is probably the only company right now that makes those extra unique tones, considering the Touchmaster and the Omega 90 have fallen off and they're only just in the Platinums and the Pathfinders right now. So I like Tomar sweep tones. I would love to have their tones in like a Carson platform, that I could have more buttons. The only problem I have is I'm very limited to my outputs, and I only use it to control the light bar. All the perimeter lighting is controlled by the Havas switches. So I really wish it just had more outputs. If they fix that, I'll be 10 times happier. Not a fan of the whale either. Whale's a little too slow. The ELS and POV Facebook groups are the best resources for anything lighting or siren related. Best thing I've ever found. Yes, I actually started the Emergency Lights and Sirens page in October of 2015. I was sick and tired of just having for sale pages and stuff like that where they just kind of discuss lights and sirens here and there, or show their POVs and stuff like that. So I wanted a page just for that. That's why I started the ELS page, to help with that. And 13,000 some members. I have 5 or 6 admins, and it's very successful. So I'm very happy about that. Shall not be infringed. Can you put your power call DX5200 for the intersection tone? I actually am just putting if you're on the ELS page, I just got a old school, I guess you would say, power call FM, or the FM 100. So that's actually going to go in here. It's a more classic, original power call tone before or after GE, of course, but before the newer one started changing. So Frank Martin Jr. actually got me on that one. So that's actually going to go in next, along with everything else, especially since I have to have his faceplate for it. Reuse the Motorola Ameritrax. That might be going in my car soon. I think I'm putting that in my car soon. I got to take one of my radios out because it's useless at this point, so I think that's going to go in. I really think I want to use that. I need help redoing my wiring on my amber white lights on my car. Where are you located? Highlight of those groups is Abe's smartass responses. Abe Blinken has been around since pretty much I've started it, the ELS page. I think he's been a member for just as long. Abe has his days where he can be a little bit too much, but I like Abe. I think Abe's a good guy, and he means well, but his responses, I think, are on point. At one point, I was doing like Abe's Opinions Monday or something like that, and I would just post a random question and see what he says. And I always thought that was. I only did it like once or twice. I think I'm going to do it again. I'm not sure. When was the last structure fire you guys had? So we do not get as much structure fires in our area than the other parts of the state and or country. My buddies out in New Jersey get lots of structure fires. Minquist, Delaware, Newport, Delaware, where Frank Martin's at, 90% of those are structural. Of their runs are structural, and are structure fires, and 10% is, and this is just a rough number, but 10% is auto wrecks and car fires. It's the complete opposite for us. We rarely ever see a structure fire, and majority of the times it's a mutual aid response with the neighboring department. And we get mostly car fires and car wrecks. So when it comes to, I focus a lot more on that. So last structure fire that I can remember that I've been on was on Old Boston Road for a 4-car garage with a couple antique tractors, a couple antique, I believe they were MGs or Jaguars, and one original Mustang, and a fridge full of ammo. They used the fridge for storage, and it was full of ammo. That was my last video, and I believe I don't have that. I have to, if I can find the video I had made, it was a compilation of a bunch of different runs and stuff like that. I'll try, and that had part of the Old Boston Road structure fire in it. But not very many structure fires at all. Can you add a real Q2B to your car if I had somewhere to put it? Ken Bernhardt, you do not live in Lebanon Junction. Thanks, Scott. I try my best to keep up with videos. Sometimes I fall off. Sometimes I don't make runs or miss runs, so I can't always get a response video. So I try my best to keep them as common as possible. I'm not a big YouTuber, but I try to have at least once or twice or 3 times a week of a new video. They're not scheduled, of course, so there's no consistency, but I try to keep them up. Be there October 21st. What are you coming out here for? Do you have a car as an SA400? Which model is that? I have a SA411, SC411 that I'm putting in, the lighting control and knob siren, the 100 watt. Whatever happened to your code 3 mile 3866, sitting on the shelf in my collection. Moving closer to family. Where's your family originally from? But I know how it goes in the East Campbell Fire Department here in New York. Yeah, you guys get a lot of structural. Continuing about the code 3. Oh, it's just on the shelf right now. It's part of my collection. I don't know if I'm going to add it to any vehicles. I've thought about adding it to the ambulance, but I'm thinking about a Carson power call setup, like a dual-tone Carson power call setup in that, or dual-tone Carson and a power call. Do you have a rumbler? Yes. Well, no, I don't have the Federal Signal rumbler. Rumbler is more of a broad tone at this point, or a broad term. I have the Abrams Quackler I won back in 2017. I have that. It's currently installed in the 500. I actually have 2 of them. And I was going to split them up and put one of the subs, or the speaker, on the Crown Vic on one of my girlfriend's car and get a second amp. So that both cars, all 3 cars, can have a rumbler system. Or maybe I'll add one to the ambulance too. I'm not sure yet. But no, I have a low frequency siren, if that's what you're saying. Not too many. We are a very rural department. So what do you guys usually get, James? What would you say the percentage is? Hi, Corey. I know that name from anywhere just because of Xbox. Why not run EQ2B rumblers? And can be a time. Probably could. I haven't decided what I was going to hook the rumbler to. Maybe I'll hook it to the EQ2B. I was thought about hooking it up to the Carson. I'm not real sure, but I'm definitely putting a rumbler in this car. So what to pair it with, I'm not sure yet. $11:56. I gotta clock back in here in a little bit. Maybe hook it to the sweep. I don't have any siren that sweeps in here. The Carson actually has a sweep on it. If you look up the instructions, it actually has an intersection sweep on it. Believe it or not, it's a whale yelp phaser air horn that hits twice, and then it does that in a sweeping style, and then you hit the steering wheel and it shuts back off again. even get 56 calls a year. That sucks. We don't run EMS anymore unless requested by the ambulance. See, we run a lot of EMS now. That was something that came up of last year, and we're a lot more automatic. There's some stuff that we're not supposed to be automatic on, like difficulty breathings and stuff like that, because of depending on where the squad's coming from. Majority of the time, the way the county's been, our squad's usually coming from Central, which is base, or from one of the hospitals. So we're usually first on scene for a while. We run a lot of EMS now, and we're actually talking about possibly in the future getting getting our own ambulance. Hopefully, a lot of the fire departments are going to ambulance run. Fire departments will be running ambulances now. Shepherdsville got a grant for need for, and they're looking at probably getting one in the following year. Mount Washington had put a grant in for one, but then Bullitt County's put a second squad out there just so they wouldn't get it, and Mount Washington decided just not to get an ambulance after that because they had 2 squads in their area, so they didn't worry about it. But it's just becoming, I mean, the city of Louisville's already, a lot of the fire departments already bought their own ambulances. Buchel, J-Town, St. Matthews, like all of them have their own ambulances now, so it's just becoming more common to fire departments running ambulances out here now. So, I mean, back in the day, Lebanon Junction didn't run an ambulance service, so that's probably going to be happening again in the upcoming years, hopefully. So how many hoes have you had in your throat? About as many as you have. We used to run a lot of EMS due to manpower shortage. We only had one person responding. Chief shut the program down. We only had 250. Need to get more people. We at a point where we started falling off with members too. I mean, we were losing them. It got pretty far to the point where me and Brian, 5110, were the only ones responding to night calls. It was just me and him in a truck every single time. Me and him were the only ones getting up making night runs. And it got exhausting. I mean, getting up every night at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning chasing runs that half the time weren't even there. They were calling in, people were calling in car wrecks that didn't exist. Or they thought where someone might have pulled over because they blew a tire and then they were gone by the time we got out there. We've gotten a lot more members now, a lot more. We have gotten a truck out every single run this last 2 years. We have not missed a run yet that I'm aware of, which is fantastic for us. The other night, just before I left for vacation, we got knocked out for a vehicle fire, and me and Gary, which is 553, we were the only 2 that responded. We would have been the only 2 out there. I was the engineer and he was the firefighter, and that was it. That was only because the captain was in the shower and didn't hear his pager goes off, and our new app is called Rover, not we don't have CAD page anymore, and it came in so late he didn't hear it. Same thing with our lieutenant was the lieutenant. The captain didn't even hear the page go off, so they both ended up missing it. But luckily enough, there was no fire. Well, unfortunately, there was no fire. Do you have a PA 4000? I wish. If someone wants to send me a PA 4000, please. Would you consider getting Motorola Astra Spectra for Siren use? I have the Meritrax that I want to put in the Crown Vic. Unfortunately, they have to be hooked up to Motorola. The Astros have to be hooked up to Motorola radios and programmed. We currently do not program our own radios, so that makes everything a lot harder for us. So probably won't happen. We're pretty happy with our Qs and power calls. I got us switched over to power calls when I joined, and almost everything has a power call at this point, or a version of it. We have a walk-in rescue that used to be an ambulance. I wish we had a walk-in rescue. I'm a big fan of walk-in rescues. New York style walk-in rescues. I love them. Me and my chief both love them. He wants to get one eventually. We're doing a lot more rescue style trainings. We have some rope techs. We have some swift water techs. So we're getting more into the more technical rescue side. So I would love to see us with a walk-in rescue and be one of the departments that get called out to neighboring departments around the area for rescues like that. Country roads take me home. That's a fantastic song. Now sing Annie for me. Hello from Australia. What sirens they use in Australia? Because I watched that Highway Patrol, that Highway Patrol thing on YouTube. They were replaying the episodes, and they used a lot of it sounded like Code 3 sirens. We were building back up. We have 10 active now. That's fantastic. Keep the morale up and get mutual aids going with other departments. The more runs you have, unfortunately, that keeps morale up. That's not why we joined, but that keeps morale up. That keeps people. The more runs you get, the more busy you are, and people want to be on. PA 300, fantastic siren. Are we talking about Halo? Not this time, Corey. Son. How many volunteers are you currently on duty? Well, we're volunteer, so I guess I don't know how many's on the roster. I wanted to say 14 or 15. I think Kronk almost knows more than I do at this point, and I want to say 13, between 14 and 15, because we also count our day crew because they're on our roster. We are staffed 7 days a week, Monday through Friday. It is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then Saturday, which is the crew I usually work, is 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. And then Sunday, it's 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that's all based off statistic numbers. During the week, people are working, so we keep a crew there. And the weekends are based off of when runs come through. You should use the Yelp and manual on the EQ fake power call. I've done it before. I don't think I've ever did it in a video, though. I actually had the programming software for my Astro. I wish I could. I've never programmed a radio. I was actually going to look into doing programming pagers. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, had to hit the cue for me a little B-Day wind. I don't have the cue. I can't. I got sleeping semi-drivers across from me. I try to be nice to people. I'll do it tomorrow for you. Give me a couple more beers and I'll sing anything. Oh, I guarantee you will. We use Code 3 here and NSW. Some states also run LTS. LTS was the ones that they used in Mad Max. I would love an LTS siren. If you can get me an LTS siren, I'll be extremely happy. If you can get one and mail one to me and donate one to my collection, I'll be extremely happy. They're hard to come by on this side of the country. Code 3 Banshee. Love the Code 3 Banshees, actually. Wasn't a big fan of them in the beginning. Love them now. I want to add a Code 3 Z3 to my collection with a Banshee. Thought about putting in this, but I'm not a dealer for them, so it doesn't make sense for me to demo the product if I'm not a dealer for them. We have power calls on our 2 newest trucks and unsure of what our... Okay. Which power calls? You have the wheeling sirens with power call program? Not real power call. Is it power call brand? Is it a GE power call? Or is it a Show Me brand? Show Me has the same style. Which new Show Me suck? The new Show Me power call tones. We have 18 members on the roster. Holy shit. He must be at the station now, because I don't know how he came up with that number that quick. I didn't know he had that many. Not sure what police use, but in the CFA, we have a lot of LTS sirens, but our new trucks, we use Code 3 dual tones. That's what I thought. I thought you guys use a lot of Code 3 or a company that uses the same tones or something like that. Send me an LTS siren, man, please. I'll pay the shipping. Someone send me an LTS siren. Want that Mad Max tone. You send it to me, I'll run it in my car. And I'll shout you out. This stream is monstrous. What do you mean by, oh, you're funny? Maybe Corey wouldn't punch his friends. Gotta go. Talk to you later, man. Stay safe. You too, man. Thanks for coming. Right, this stream is monstrous. Your stream's gonna be monstrous because of all the alcohol you drink. Are y'all trained in EMTA? We have... Our chief is actually paramedic in Lexington. Our assistant chief is a firefighter with EMT, now advanced EMT certifications in Shepherdsville. Our battalion chief just got his EMT Certs. Our captain is not EMT certified. Our lieutenant is EMR certified. Joshua Kronk, who's on our department, is EMT certified, just got a job with the county for EMS. I took the EMT class. I'm just not I didn't pass my certification, so I don't have my certification, and I forgot a lot of it, honestly. But yeah, we have quite a few EMTs in our department. How long have you been a part of the fire department, and what certs do you have, if any? I've been on for 5 years now, and as far as certifications, I have my 150 certification. If you look up a Kentucky 150 certification, that's all the certifications I have, plus or minus a couple. Actually, plus some. I do hold my 150 certification. I don't go to trainings that often. There's actually one coming up. I gotta look up that date because my chief is sending me to one. I gotta make sure I look up that date and get that, and make sure I can still go. There's various different certifications I have. It's just part of the 150 that you have to have in Kentucky to be a state firefighter. So I couldn't rattle them off the top of my head. I'm not that good at it. Do you have any sirens in your collection you hate the most, or what is your most hated siren? Actually, I do. The siren I hate the most is that Show Me WW2, which is a Whoop Warble 2, which is the second version of it, and the tones are awful. They don't sound, they're not power call tones, and I do not like it. Thinking about selling it, actually. I just don't like that version of the power call, or mock of the power call. So that'll probably be going soon. Most hated siren. Anything that is a fake knockoff. Don't really have a siren I can't stand unless Kronk remembers and I don't. What BA do you guys use? What do you mean by that? Are you saying you can't give her mouth to mouth? You ain't certified. No, I'm certified in CPR. That's different. That's different certification. I'm certified in CPR. I can use a Jesus. The paddles. Go in your chest. Why am I having AED? I'm certified in AED. I'm certified in CPR. Most scariest call you ever had? There was two, and they had nothing to do with the actual nature of the call. It was the location of the call and the driver of the engine mistake. We had a pickup truck fire out on 65. It was right, I think it was the 107. It was up over at the bottom base of a hill in a blind curve. Southeast and us were originally dispatched. They get there, they put the fire out. Suggested to use foam. They didn't want to use foam. They just wanted to dump more water because gasoline was pouring out of the gas tank. They were on scene at that point. They were technically, it was their call. So whatever, we let it go. Went back to fill the engine back up, and got knocked back out for a rekindle for the same car wreck, or the same car fire. Got back out there with the only engine on scene. We were putting foam on it this time. Actually, no, we weren't putting foam. We were using a dry chem. That's what I wanted to use. We wanted to use a dry chem on it. They wanted to use foam. We put a dry chem on it, and as we were sitting there, I heard move, and a semi had just narrowly missed the back end of our engine, nearly hitting us and hitting our engineer. And the second one was a really bad mistake by one of our engineers. Not going to get into it. Worst comes to worst. Long story short, you don't. Rule number one of driving: don't stop in an interstate. James, I gotta check in. I did check in. I already checked in. Worst lighting brand: SpeedTech. SpeedTech. Worst one, or one I dislike the most: Phoenix. I'm not a fan of Phoenix. How many air fresheners you got? Too fucking many. What breathing apparatus does your brigade use? We use MSA packs. We use MSA with 45 minute bottles, or 4,500 PSI bottles. Got them just when I first started. Our chief now, he wasn't our chief then, but he actually got us the grant for them. Do you use medication for IV? No. Our chief can, because he's actually a paramedic, so he could administer if needed. Air is considered medication, so our EMR can administer O2, but other than that, we don't carry any type of medication, except the only thing we carry close to medication is Narcan. Quinn or Towers? Honestly, I'm not real versed in that to actually give a solid answer, nor have I really looked much into it, so I'm not really sure on that one. Do you ever consider X-Sprite a brand? No, absolutely not. And AUS Red Fleet products suck. What sucks about them? Get an energy dual tone. I have one. I have one. It is actually sitting in my toolbox. It's practically brand new. Have it in the collection. Haven't really run it because it's a full lighting and everything. It's a pretty large siren, so I really don't have anywhere to put it. They look the goods, but they leak, and the light heads are really crap quality. Hey, that sounds like Phoenix. When am I coming back to Jersey? Christmas. Do you ever think of putting a Touchmaster inside your POV? Well, I definitely want to put it outside my POV. More functions to them, and I'm not a demo for Touchmaster, or a Federal Signal, or a dealer for Federal Signal. Love the Touchmaster. It's part of my collection. I don't know if I'll ever put one in, unless I have multiple cars, which eventually, if you know who Tyler Hoover is, Hoover Garage, he has the Hoover fleet. I hope to have a emergency vehicle fleet. Want a Dodge Intrepid police package. I hate to admit it, but what is your most weirdest call you went on? That's a hard one. I have a feeling I have one in my head, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. Weirdest call. I can't think off the top of my head what it was. I know there was one, and I cannot think of what it was, but there was definitely one that was rather strange. There was an incident where we were called to an address in Lebanon Junction twice in the same week. Called to the address, show up, and it wasn't the correct address. All the numerics were the same exact road, but wrong county. You literally cross the border into the next county is where the address was at, but it's on the same road, same number, just different county, but within a mile from each other. Got called to that address twice. The first time, the homeowners came out like, we didn't call you, and we found out from the homeowners that there was the address up the road. And then second time, we got called out to the same address, got to that house again after I tried to confirm that was the correct one and it wasn't our county. Get to the house, PD says it's the wrong house, which I knew was going to happen. I go back to that house again. A month or two ago, we get dispatched to the same address. Ends up actually being the house this time. So that was rather interesting. Put it in as sexy as hell. I agree. Federal or Whalen? Federal. DNR. DNR, I think, make pretty good stuff. I mean, their sirens sound pretty decent. I don't have much experience with DNR. I'd like to have a DNR Intimidator in my collection. Just must be drunk. What is your opinion on unit roll in general? I love them. I wish they stayed around and were still producing sirens to this day. They made a fantastic siren then, something that lasted a long time and was very durable. And I mean, look how they should have kept making the Omega 90 instead of I know the Touchmaster came out after the Omega 90. I don't know if the TM4 came around the same time. Not really I'm not good with time frames, but I think the Omega 90 was fantastic. I wish that Omega 90 carried on and kept going. I think eventually the Touchmaster series and the Omega 90 series got replaced by the PA640. PA640 wasn't a good siren. Sounded all right. Controls were okay. I've replaced so many for various reasons. It's unreal. The most replaced siren I've ever had to replace was a Federal Signal 640, PA640. Do you prefer Dunbar None or Federal Signal? What's really the difference? I'm pretty sure they're the same, but I think Dunbar None came with all the best ones. I think Dunbar None was probably the better one. Make America great again. I can't agree more. Will you ever fix the 500? Yes. It takes a lot of time, and having a 2-year-old and trying to run a business and everything else is kind of hard to balance it and be able to have the time to actually take a vehicle apart. Do you put first aid kits in your car? Depends on what you mean by a first aid kit. I'm not an EMT. I'm not an EMR. I don't have any in my vehicle because there's a lot of stuff I'll give you a Band-Aid. I can splint an arm. I mean, I really can't do much. as far as what's worth carrying all the stuff. So I could, but I just don't. As far as putting first aid kits, Kronk has a bag. The assistant chief has a jump bag. The chief has a jump bag. The lieutenant has a jump bag because they're all EMT or EMR, so they all have jump bags. What emergency lighting system is your favorite? Smart Sirens. The Platinums and the Pathfinders. They're my favorite. Love them. Fantastic sirens. I've installed plenty of them too. I'm very well versed in them. I've installed so many of them. I'm still learning some stuff with Pathfinder. Would love to get a Pathfinder to put in the 500. I even put one on this car because I have good contacts for Federal Signal. So I would love to get a Pathfinder. What do you think of the flash pattern that flashes the lights the same color at the same time? That is awful. I think that is absolutely... It blends the color too much. If you blend red and... flash red and white together, you get pink. If you flash red and blue together, you get purple. If you get red and amber together, they kind of fight on who wants to be the brightest. So flash the same color at the same time is an awful idea, and it kind of is more confusing, and you don't get the full output of the lights. If you would put an FDNY, would you put? Yes, I would. If I got an actual FDNY PA300, I probably would. Mike, take the picture. Take the picture. Did I go to a Hazmat Calls? Oil spills. We had one. There was a barrel that leaked in a hazmat trailer for FedEx. We had both sides of the interstate shut down for 3 hours. That caused the worst traffic in Lebanon Junction, I think, in history. Check out the new CFA medium pumper responder. It's the flash pattern it has. CFA medium pumper. I'll have to do that. Let's see what it looks like. It's probably awful because it probably flashes multiple colors at the same time. Or someone didn't do their job right. It's kind of like Piers not adding a sync wire. For a light you pay has sync options and they don't even hook the sync wire up and they charge you $3,000 to do it. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Pay $600,000 for a brand new freaking apparatus. You should hook up the fucking sync wire. More questions, guys. Keep them coming. Is being a volunteer firefighter stressful? It has its days. The only time it's really stressful is when people don't listen. Trucks aren't getting out quick. And what really stresses me out now that I'm a parent is dealing with children. Hearing traumatic things with children. Every time I hear something like that, it makes me think that happened to my son, and that really gets to me. I think that gets me a lot more now than it ever has. It got to me before, but once you become a parent, it's more reality, and that can be stressful. But other than that, not really. I don't think it's that bad. We don't really deal with that much stressful stuff, so it's not too bad. People not listening, people making dumb mistakes, and trucks not getting out when they need to be is very stressful. For older Code 3 or the newer ones, I like them both. They both have their ups and downs. Not a big fan of a Mastercom. I do like the Z3s. I like the Banshee. I like that 3866. I like Beacon, that's Hyper Yelp. Other than that, I don't... I had quite a few Sirens, but those are probably my top favorite. I do like the one I stuck in our lieutenant's car. RLS. I do like the RLS. Not a fan of Fest. Nope. I've installed a couple of them. Pain in the ass to kind of install because the way you have to apply power, they don't tell you. The way to install them is just confusing, slightly confusing, more complicated than other Sirens. An SLA 100 is very easy to install. All the Carson Sirens are easy to install, but Mastercoms just, I think, are a little too much. What was the Facebook name of your business again? It's Code 3 Complete. Code 3, like the response, Code 3 Complete. Do you keep Motorola in your car? As far as radios, I still have my PM400 installed. Hopefully getting my XTS installed eventually once it gets programmed, but it's the only Motorola's really keep in the vehicles now. Yeah, I have a PM400 installed right now. It's only for knockout, which is our dispatch. I can talk to Boston on it. I'm pretty sure I have Boston. I don't have Boston. I do have Hardin County, but I can no longer talk to them because they went VHF digital. So it's pretty much a scanner. No, that's about it. But eventually, when I get the XTS programmed, I'll be putting that in, and you'll hear me more back on the radio again. Have you ever handheld the Motorola APX series before? I've installed them. I've installed plenty of them. When I worked in Louisville on G Depot, I had a Clarksville police car inside the shop with the garage door, which is a concrete garage or metal building, and it still came through clear as day that they were sitting next to me. So I really like them. The expense of them, I think, is ridiculous. The fact that we have to go through Metro to get everything programmed is, I think, absolutely ridiculous. We are not a department that can afford $4,500 for a fucking handheld. So we can move cheaper, but we're not allowed to program them. So I kind of miss the old analog better. It's a lot less of a headache. If you could get any POV, what would you get? Oh, that is a good question. Does it have to be police package, or can it be a civilian model? If you wanted any car, what car would you have? That's my name question. Any car, okay. Any car. Are we talking practical? Are we talking dream car? Got to be a little more specific. Help me out a little bit so I can answer that a little better. Well, currently we're looking at my next vehicle being a 2015 to 2017 body style Expedition with a 5.0. Not a big fan of the idea of an EcoBoost because I own my cars for so long. I need something for longevity, and a 5.0 is a proven motor. I can tow more with it because eventually we'd like to get a camper. So a limited Platinum or King Ranch Expedition is something I would love, either the extended or the regular one. I do like the 2020 Explorers, but I like the space of the Expedition. Would love a brand new F-250. I've worked on a couple of them, and they are by far. I've worked on the new F-250s, the new Silverados, the new Rams. And I'm not because it's not because I'm a Ford fan. Even the guys that work at the shop with me, they even agreed. More luxurious inside, a lot more comfortable. The F-250 is a fantastic. I would love to own a brand new loaded F-250. Dream car. Overall dream car is a Ford Gran Torino, which is a 73, is the same year that Starsky and Hutch had. I would love a Torino. That's gotta be my dream car. When's the new POV update of the Vic? I discussed this earlier in the video. It's either dirty when I go to do the video, or I'm always changing something. So I'm about to change the Siren again to a Carson. The main Siren, which is would be replacing the Tomar 948, and I'm putting a push bumper on. Maybe I'll do an update tomorrow since I'll be changing some stuff. So I'll do an update of it currently, and then I'll do another update of it with the new Siren and the push bumper. Have you got any COVID-19 calls? Honestly, we had some that had precautions, but none that were specifically for a COVID. A lot of them that were, proceed with airborne pathogens and stuff like that, but it was never a call just for COVID, thankfully. We restricted ourselves to only one person going in the Tyvek suit. I hear sirens. I heard them. Sound like they went by, but I didn't see them in the window. So not many COVID-19 calls, but we had restricted them to somebody with an air regulator and a Tyvek suit. Alright, I'm going to continue on until 1 o'clock, and then I'm probably going to hop off of here. I'm going to play some Call of Duty Mobile, and hopefully enjoy the rest of them. What certifications are you planning on getting? actually have one that happens every now and again. CSX sends us to Texas. They'll send 2 of our firefighters to Texas. All expenses paid, rental car, food, and hotel. I would love to do that, but I think you have to have a specific hazmat for that. I think you have to have hazmat ops to do that class. So if I have to go for my hazmat ops to go take that class, I might do it. Even though I can't stand hazmat. Hazmat is the most boring, and I just don't care for hazmat whatsoever. I'd like to get grain bin rescue, more auto extrication, and more on the rescue side of things. Not so much hazmat. I don't think I want to do rope or swift water, but I think eventually I'm going to have. I should probably go into doing that. Fun fact: tomorrow 38066 is a first generation microcom. I did not know that, and that's pretty interesting to have, or pretty interesting to know. I have a brand new microcom 2 in the box for sale. Anybody wants it? $200. It's brand new in the box. My sound off energy took a shit, so I'm going back to my lovely SM. I've never heard of an Energy 400 ever going bad. I think I've replaced one. I've installed a couple of them. I've only replaced one. So that's interesting. I never heard one go bad. If you could get any car or a fire POV, what would it be? Probably still the Expedition or the F-250. Love a Lincoln Navigator. That's expensive though. Same body style as the Expedition. I want between 15 and 17. One of my favorite vehicles, and it's unfortunately too small for what I need, but I would love a 2010 Ford Explorer with a 4.6 liter V8 and the 20-inch wheels and a limited trim level with black leather interior. Come get vehicle machine rescue tech with me. When is that? And is Josh paying for it? Mass casualty incidents during your time. Nope. Not even multiple fatality wrecks or multiple fatalities in one wreck. Nope. Haven't had a mass casualty. We're not in a congested area. We deal with mostly 65. So if there was a mass casualty, it'd probably be on 65 and multi-vehicle MDA. Where I can see that happening is our state is not prepared for snow, so I can see us getting a large wreck on 65 and having something like that. But other than that, I don't think there's ever been one out this way. What's the thing you dislike most about your Crown Victoria? The one I'm currently in right now, no cruise control. Cannot stand there's no cruise control in this car. I never realized how much I miss cruise control until I had this car. All my other cars had it. Oh, no, my Hyundai didn't have cruise control. My very first car did not have cruise control. I drive a highway based. Right now, I just drove an hour and 20 minutes to Bowling Green from Lebanon Junction for a security job, so having cruise control for that would have been much more beneficial. How bad is the weather in Lebanon Junction in winter? It hits and miss. Again, we're not prepared for snow, so like the lightest dusting where New Jersey, New York, and everybody else would laugh at, they freak out, they close the schools. We do have plow trucks, but they don't touch the county road often. They'll do back roads. They don't salt very often, so snow is just not planned for much out here. So the slightest bit of snow, and especially where we live, we're stuck. We're usually stuck home. So that's another reason why I want to get the Expedition is 4-wheel drive. I need something with 4-wheel drive just for that reason. Even though we don't get snow that often, mostly if it snowed, I'd just stay home. But being on the fire department, I need something to be able to respond in. How long are you going to be a volunteer firefighter? Probably till I get bored of it, and I don't see that ever happening. Dave Martin, our battalion chief, has been a volunteer firefighter for 30 plus years. First department was Lebanon Junction back when he turned 18. He's currently in his 50s now, and he's on 2 different departments. He's on Boston and Lebanon Junction, and he's done it for 30 years. And I think I enjoy it enough that I'd probably stay. I want to be one of those people that tires out of it and has been there for a long time, and then is still showing up in my 80s and 90s with a walker. So a long time. I don't see anything getting me out of it, honestly, unless I get injured. But then even then, I'll probably still be involved in the fire department. What's the minimum age to be a volunteer over here? 18. 18 years of age. There is cadet classes. A lot of them called cadet classes. There's junior programs out here, based on certain departments have them. Southeast Bullet neighboring department has a junior program or cadet program. I think Zoltan does, and we are looking into one. So there's a possibility that Lebanon Junction might have one. Interesting call you ever had? I explained that one earlier. That was the one with the multiple addresses. I have a feeling there's another one that I can't think of, but I've made a couple of them. It's kind of hard to remember them all, but I've made a few interesting ones. There was one, I'm not going to get too much into detail, but there was a two-vehicle MVA, and the car getting towed, the one that was hit the hardest, as they were towing the car, we were kind of just looking in the car at our flashlights, kind of seeing where because we had to cut them out. It was an extrication, and there was bone still left in the car. That was interesting. It was up there, and it looked like it was part of his tibia. It looked like a piece of pizza crust with tomato sauce on it. That was interesting. In the CFA, it's 16 to begin operational. Really? So you can actually ride truck and fight fire at the age of 16. Out here, it's 18. I think juniors can ride trucks and be assistants on scene, but they can't be interior. 16 to be interior. That's interesting. Now you say in Pennsylvania it's 14. Is it 14 to be interior or 14 to be a cadet? Because I believe there are two different categories. Do you want a motorcycle? Did you go on? I'm guessing you meant. Did you go? Have I been on a motorcycle accident before? Once that I can remember. There's been quite a few. We've had one that had to be airlifted. He came off a 65 and spilled his bike, broke his arm, but he was more or less complaining about his arm than anything. I think it's the only one I can think of as far as motorcycles. I don't really many motorcycles. Lots of semi involved, MVAs, lots of rollovers. Yeah, not many motorcycle wrecks actually. 14, you're a junior firefighter, not allowed to be interior. Yeah, so I really wouldn't consider that being a firefighter, really. I'd consider you a junior. Like, if you were to categorize it, I'd consider you a junior, not a firefighter. Because, I mean, you were a junior firefighter, but you're not interior, so you really can't do a lot. I mean, if you even look at the basic term of it, a firefighter, you can't really fight fire if you can't go interior. So, I mean, most fatal call? I've only been on one motor vehicle fatality, and it was two semis. One ruined the other. One was going slow, the other one wasn't paying attention, just plowed right into the back of them. Wasn't gruesome. It wasn't explicit or gory or anything like that. It was just my first one. Let's just say it on scene for 3 hours until they reconstructed it. Call you ever been on? Yeah, that was. Yeah, the most fatal would be that semi. What happened to the Force 4 XL that was replaced on one of your trucks? Both XLs have been replaced. The one on 32 has been replaced, and the one on 30 has been replaced. 30 is still in my collection, and 32s is still in my collection. 32s is a 4-section, is what I call them, and an XL was a 3-section. I have both of them in my collection. They're not going anywhere. Can always hit hard from the yard. Yeah, but you're still not. You're technically not allowed to do that. I don't think. I don't even think most departments let you do that. Have you ever went to a call where a gas explosion happened? I want to say yes. I'm pretty sure I have. Again, I've been on so many. It's hard. Like when you ask me the question, I forget. But I mean, if it was in normal conversation, I remember. Oh, here we go. Got to hit it from the hard. The Facebook page is ridiculous. They're hitting it hard from the yard guys, or hitting it like a bitch from the ditch. But they're just hitting it hard from the yard fire departments. I know of one, and it is what it is. Do you like CHP lighting patterns and sirens? Yes, yes, and yes. I hate that they're proprietary and that they're the only ones that they're allowed to have the siren tones. Why, I don't understand. What makes them? Why? I don't get why. I guess they want to be the only ones that have that specific tone so they can hear each other, but that's what we have radios for and eyeballs to see the vehicle. I like both. I think CHP's gone a long way with that, so I really like that they've done studies and have figured it out versus just slapping lights on the car. Same thing with Florida. Florida Highway Patrol did a lot of studies on how they run their vehicles and how they're just blue after they said that red and blue was better during different. I don't know who made that call, but yeah, I like CHP stuff. New York Siren. I'm a big New York. I guess we'll say New York emergency vehicle buff. New York City emergency vehicle buff. Love NYPD stuff. Love FDNY stuff. Love EMS stuff. The older EMS stuff. The newer stuff is alright. It's supposed to be unique but easily identifiable. I'm not sure either. I live in California. You should ask some CHP guys or call the CHP garage and find out. But it could be that. Just to be specific. I don't understand it. That's what only thing I can think of is to be easily identified. Does almost everyone at your station use VIX as POVs? I watched just about all your videos, and just two of us. Brian, 5110, which is the one that you saw in my last video, and myself. Kronk is trying to get one, so he'll probably have one here soon. But no, actually, once upon a time in the 90s, early 2000s, we had an Aero Vic as a command car. The only picture that I've ever been able to find is just the back end of the taillights. But PD runs them. Fire department, only two of us have them. I want to say there's a third one, but there's one guy named Matt that's trying to get back on the department. Who's part of the day crew. He has one. But as far as people on the department, currently only two have them. Well, technically three if you consider Erica's grandmother's Grand Marquis that she's borrowing. All I see is Vic's. Yeah, my Vic and his Vic. Let's see, the POVs that I know of. Our chief has his command car and his Dodge Ram, newer Dodge Ram. Assistant chief has, which I have the video of, he has just his Jeep right now, which is a Patriot. Captain has a Envoy. Battalion chief, I missed him. He has a older pickup, 90 Chevy pickup, which is painted almost like Duracell battery colors. Lieutenant's got an Explorer. Kronk has the Escape and the blue F-150 that you haven't seen yet. I have the Crown Vic and the 500. Brian's son has a white Ranger. You'll be seeing that soon. I'm about to do that. Very clean truck. Adam Nance has that white Nissan. I'm trying to think who I'm forgetting that runs POVs. Got a couple people in the department that don't have some sirens in their vehicles, or at least not yet. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Some of our day crew members do, but one of them has a Cavalier. Kronk could probably help me out with a couple of them, but I'm not remembering them. Did you yell at Brian for scaring that 1-year-old? I had a talk with him. I didn't really actually yell at him. It was kind of just more of a... But I did say, you don't have to use a siren. They're paying attention. They hear us coming. They know we're coming. We don't need to blast sirens at them or anything. I love them, and I have an 07. Crown Victorias are fantastic vehicles. People that hate them, I don't understand why. Maybe they just hate some of the people that buy them. There's some people that buy them shouldn't own them. There's people that are impersonators and stuff like that, or using them for the wrong reasons. I don't believe they should have them, but that could be a reason to hate them. I like Crown Victorias. I see nothing wrong with them. I think they're fantastic cars, fantastic first cars, especially if your parents don't know shit about cars, because you can do a lot of modifying to these cars and they would never know it underneath the hood, and you can just make it look like an old police car. So, will you eventually put your Omega back in your POV? Maybe one day. I'm not sure when. I've discussed it earlier in the video. Maybe one day. The only injury I ever had maybe was like rolling an ankle getting out of a truck or something, but no, I've never been injured on any of the runs. Been close to, but never injured. At least not seriously enough to where it put me out. There was one time I was on the wrong side of the cutters. When I closed them, they kind of pushed me up against the car, but I just slid my skinny ass out. Do cops ever think you're impersonating? I have owned this car for, I think, almost 2 years now. I have never once had an officer think I'm impersonating. I don't use my vehicle or drive my vehicle in a way that would make me look like an impersonator. The only thing close to ever impersonating I would do is drive down the left lane, which people just move out of thought of it being a cop car. But other than that, I don't do anything that even suggests being an impersonator. I don't flash any warning lights at anybody. I don't flash my spotlight or point my spotlight at anybody, at least ones that I don't know. I don't use my vehicle in any way, shape, or form that would suggest I'm a police officer. I don't pull people over. I'll pull up to wrecks or where no one else is involved, or no emergency personnel have been there. I'll help shut down a lane until PD gets there. But I do not do anything. And one of the first things I do if I ever pull up on a wreck is I say I am not a cop, because a lot of them think I am when I first pull up in both vehicles. I tell them I am not a police officer. I'm a volunteer firefighter that's off duty, and I'm coming to assist you to make sure that you're okay and that no one's injured, and that I'm hanging out until PD arrives. And never once have I ever had an issue with anything ever from anybody. I don't do anything that suggests that I'm impersonating. First one was a 98. It was my grandparents that passed down to me at first. I didn't like it then. It grew on me. Was it a civilian model? What color was it? Do you all have station uniforms or just bunker gear? No, we have station uniforms. We have Class A's and Class B's. Class B's are usually worn on duty, of course. I guess it depends on which form of Class B's. We have a Class B that's with our polo, one that's just a t-shirt, but of course, dark blue navy EMT style pants or shorts. And we have our normal Class A's, which are either, I think they're black. But of course we have the bunker gear. What do you mean by off duty? Off duty, I guess, is a term saying that I'm coming back from work. I'm not currently actively operating as a firefighter for my department right now, so off duty. It's the only way to really, I guess, say it. And you gotta talk to some people in like layman's terms that understand, and it's an easier terminology for some people that aren't into emergency services or don't know it. So if you say I'm an off-duty firefighter, even dispatch say you're an off-duty firefighter. If they're dispatching their units. I've heard on our radio plenty of times saying that there's off-duty Lebanon Junction, an off-duty police or an off-duty firefighter on scene. So it's more or less a terminology, I guess, versus an actual meaning. You like LAFD trucks? Never been into them. They're nothing really special. I haven't really found one that was interesting. They're very cookie cutter, very boring. They all run the same light. It's either an NX7000 that's all red, or a Freedom that's all red, and they're kind of both boring. So I'm not really into the LAFD trucks. They don't do anything to make themselves. Or to some big cities that are also unique. Louisville kind of has unique trucks. Some of the Delaware or New Jersey fire departments have some unique trucks, but LAFD does nothing to really set them apart from the rest, except for they have actually Touchmasters in some of their trucks, or unit roll Omega 90s in some of their trucks, which is kind of interesting. It's a full lighting control siren just for tones, which is really strange. But I guess being in a federal signal, the Dunbar Nunn unit roll area. Which area in your fleet? Hands down, 5132. It's a 1994 Pierce Saber. Sadie is her name, and she is by far my favorite truck in the fleet overall for everything. Second being 30, third being 88, fourth being the brush truck, fifth being 84 Ford, and 10th being I like the trailer over 31. It's that bad. Do not like 31 at all. The 98 was just a normal sedan. My 2007 at P71 I bought with Pennsylvania State Police. This is still the Pennsylvania State Police colors, which was they ran just white. They just ran white, and then they switched to a gray, and I think they're back to white again. For whatever reason, I was confusing New York or Connecticut. But yeah, so as far as the what I mean by off duty is just a terminology of stating that you are a firefighter not actively operating with your fire department. 31 is loud and slow. You have no clue. That truck is slower than anything. Put it this way, we made a wreck and 31 left the station first, got to the ramp of 65. 32 is much better acceleration, but it's governed at 60. So 65, 60, 65. Speed limit on 60 interstate of 65 is 70 miles an hour. We caught up to 31 before they entered the interstate, and we rode their bumper until they got to the downhill section of 65. And as soon as they opened that, they hit that coast and that hill, and they can get up to 80 miles an hour. So, but they're usually on scene by the time they get to 80 miles an hour. What do you guys have for pagers? There you go. Good old Motorola's. We're talking about getting some communications for some of the people that live further away, considering they're digital. So we're looking at that right now. Can you do a full episode like POV, then do truck, then scene? I don't do much scene, only for the simple fact is my chief has let me do response videos and calls, or responding in the trucks. I would need a helmet cam. Someone wants to donate me a helmet cam. If I got a helmet cam, I would do it. But I'd have him cleared by my chief first, of course, HIPAA laws and everything like that. Fires, I would do helmet cams for fires because no one's usually involved in that. MVAs probably could do some when we do stupid mitigations or end up turning into mitigations where patients aren't involved. I can do some camera stuff, but I'm very focused on the job that I'm doing. I don't fart around with cameras usually. If someone donated one, I'd put one on my helmet and I'd turn it on and probably run it until I got to the call, until the call ended. Probably run the entire time, and then I'd have to edit it out. Not big on editing. As you look in my YouTube videos, they're very vanilla. I don't have an intro. I don't add music. It's raw. You're getting exactly what is going on, and I kind of like it that way because it's simple. It's straight to the point. Thought I'd bring an intro. I think I might have done one once or twice on a response video where I showed the engine that I was in. So I do stuff like that, and I do everything on my phone. I don't do anything on the computer. But someone wants to send me a helmet cam until I can pay for one, I'll do it. Do you guys have pagers? Yes. Do you get awakened by your fire alarm before? In my house, like the fire alarm, like the fire alarm in the house, they're still gray, trooper down the side. Mine just is white, still reflective stripes on it, but I took it off. That's pretty awesome. We use Alpha Legend for our pagers in the CFA. What do you mean by Alpha Legend? Is that a pager type? Oh, yeah, my pager wakes me up all the time. A lot less lately. There was a time where it felt like it went off every night for like 4 months straight, and I was they were just random runs. It does not go off often late at night. The only time that usually does is for structural wrecks on 65 for mutual aid, or structural is a mutual aid structural because nothing that's ever local. A lot of time it's a lap in. Southeast has this lap in a lot, so there's a lot of times the pager goes off for lap ins. Any opinions on the LAPD? Love their cars. I like their older cars more, like their gang unit cars. Their regular patrol cars are boring, but love their gang unit and slick top stuff. Small little black plate pager, probably like the old school, maybe phone style pagers, the stuff like that. You too, man. Thanks for coming on, Jeff. You don't have to hop off. You can just shut it off. There's no reason to balance for it. But yeah, I'm gonna be getting off here soon. I'm getting off at 1 o'clock. I'm gonna be hopping off here. Raw's what I like. I don't know how you mean by that. Jim, any military surplus vehicles like Humvees or 5 tons? I like Deuce and a half's over a 5 ton. I would love a Humvee pickup. I think that'd be really cool. A repainted Humvee pickup, not military, but like more modernized looking one. Chris Fix has a H1 with a Duramax in it. I'm not a GM fan, like I put 7.3 Power Stroke in it, but would love a Humvee pickup painted like white or something like that. You too, Tim. Thanks for coming by. I'm going to be getting off here soon, too. If I do more overnights like this, I'll probably do more of them, but it's going to be late at night like this. I usually don't have time during the day. Maybe I'll do them at the station or something like that. 6 more minutes. Excuse me. I don't know, Brian, what do you think about military vehicles? What do you want to buy for the entire video? Is Josh Kronk still on here? Where's Josh at? Or did he hop off? Do you have any different gear for different jobs? We have wildland gear and we have structural gear. Buddy of mine, through Facebook and through the one of the swap meets in Chicago, donated some jumpsuit style like rescue gear. We haven't really found a way to implement it yet. They're a lot more larger sizes, and they're not found a way to apply them to anything except for rescue, like rope rescue and stuff like that. But currently it's just wildland gear, which isn't, it's mandatory, but a lot of us prefer to just fight in sneakers and jeans because it's a lot more comfortable that way. But our wildland gear is usually our bunker boots or our sneakers that we're currently wearing, and they're just yellow throw over yellow shirts and a helmet. But that's about it really as far as gear goes. Our assistant chief Swiftwater, so he's got Swiftwater gear. How long are your shifts? Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Saturday, 3 to midnight, and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Kronk, you been here the entire time? That was definitely a Toyota Camry with a turbo. That's a first. Any more questions, guys? I got about 4 minutes left before I go back to playing Call of Duty Mobile and watching people on YouTube. Tyler Hoover's got a new video up about his Bentley. I gotta go watch. Hoovy's Garage. Let's see how well you can see that. Currently guarding a warehouse full of Red Bull. It's interesting that you guys do shifts in the CFA. It's just whoever shows up. It used to be always strictly volunteer, whoever showed up, or whoever was hanging out at the station, but we started doing day crew, which was an 8 to 5 shift because we had an issue where trucks weren't responding during the day because people were working. So everybody had 9 to 5, so we didn't have anybody at the station or anybody home to help man the station, or make calls. So we developed the day crew, which is 2 members on, sometimes a third, during the day, so that we can help get the truck out. And they're not to wait for everybody. They're to, as soon as the pager goes off, get out the door. Saturday nights is my shift. I'm in charge of that shift, and 60 seconds or less. I've been pretty good at keeping it that way. We get the truck out in 60 seconds every single time, and it's usually me, Kronk, and James Keith, and we get the truck out 60 seconds every single time. I'm very proud of that, actually. But as long as our dispatch time is, I think our dispatches usually last like 30 seconds. Truck's usually on the road and rolling, and I'm going responding while the truck's already rolling because I'm waiting for dispatch to stop. My most tiring call? Oh my god, the brush fire that I ran with Fairdale. They had a big brush fire out in Fairdale in a park, and we were there for quite a few hours, and we had to walk we had to hike quite a ways to get to it, and we basically just sat out there and just fought small fires and just made sure it didn't, basically watched it the entire time. That was exhausting. It was a lot of walking, and my feet were killing me afterwards. And then and that got dispatched. That wasn't long. I think it got dispatched. No, it wasn't. Dispatched around 9:30. I didn't get home till 4 in the morning. White Castle at 4 in the morning was a bad idea too, especially after all that. Raw videos is what I mean. Yeah, I would want both a Humvee and a 5-ton, but I was wondering if your department has it. No, we don't have any. I believe Shepherdsville does have a 5-ton. They have a 5-ton. But as far as we do not have any military vehicles. None have ever been gifted or given to us. But if we get the military to give us a Humvee pickup brush truck, it's exactly what it would probably be. If they can get us a Humvee, it would definitely turn into a brush truck if it was my choice. You watch Daily Driven Exotics? I did hit and miss. Weren't really my thing. I like Hoovie's Garage. I watch some of the Car Wizard. I watch a little bit of JR Go. I watch a guy named Vechor, Vehcor. He's a body shop guy in Chicago, around the Chicago area. I watch him. Those are common ones. Like 2 common ones that I watch religiously are Hoovie's Garage and the Vechor guy. Frank Martin Jr. Always watching his stuff, but that's not car related, I guess. But it's usually Hoovie's Garage and the Vechor guy. Good night, man. Thanks for coming by. Or thanks for watching, should I say. Yeah, it's about time to get off. It's funny watching Americans brush fires because it seems like you fight them with garden hose tools. I guess it'll be the last one before I hop off. Our brush trucks out here are very small diameter, almost garden-like hose, but they're high pressure. We used to run a big tank on the back that usually houses ink and stuff like that for printing companies. We had one of them, and it was our water tank on our brush truck with a big booster reel. That was fantastic to fight fires with. And when they told us they were switching to this lighter system and the skid unit style, I was kind of skeptical. At first, something wasn't running right, so it was like this little tiny literally garden hose type pressure. So that really wasn't a fan of it at first, but then we figured out how to get the pressure turned up on it, and now it's actually not that bad. The part that sucks on it, and it's kind of cheaply made, the nozzles and everything are held on by pipe rings, little screwdriver things that tighten down. So they had a tendency to pop off. You'd be sitting there fighting, all of a sudden you just hear a loud pop, and there'd just be water spewing all over the back of the truck. Happened once on an illegal burn multiple times. That was embarrassing. But leather or plastic? As far as you gonna do another Q&A? Probably in the future. As long as if I do another overnight security job, I'll do another Q&A. But Chief Matthew, what do you mean by leather or plastic? I'll answer your question, then I'll hop off. But I'll probably do another QA in the future. Maybe I'll do it on a Saturday night while I'm at the firehouse with Josh and with my crew. Maybe they'll sit down and do a Q&A with me, or come and go through the Q&A. Leather or plastic? Leather or plastic? Oh, about helmet? You didn't answer my question. Leather or plastic? What do you mean by leather or plastic? You too, man. Waiting on you, Chief Matthew. Last question. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be helmet. Leathers are heavy. I do like the leather. Our Brian has one, 5110 has one, our Chief has one. I like them as far as aesthetics and originality. I do like them. I would like to have one, but I do like my plastic MSA. Alright guys, thanks all for coming. I am going to hop up here and finish out this shift and try not to fall asleep. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with me. So, until next time, maybe I'll do one in the future at on shift one of these other overnights. See you guys. Thanks again. Everybody be safe.